All right. Well, hey, Deb, Teresa. Hey, there, I see you now. Okay. Huh. Okay, technology. What do you know? All right. Okay. Deb, thanks for the prayers. It's been a crazy couple days around here. That's for sure. Um, but I think she'll be coming home tomorrow. Hope so. Uh, but and okay. So the camera thing looks really dark, but the screen down there looks okay. So I'll just keep going. We're okay. I got a thumbs up from the crew in the other room there. uh, Danny, good to see you too. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get going after I've messed with the camera and all that stuff so much. Um, Glad everybody's here. Teresa, it really is cool to see you on here. I hope the move is going well. I'm sure you are busy as can be and enjoying staying busy. And I hope the new house is kind of coming together like you envision. Uh, and I'm sure that's kind of fun to put all that stuff together, but stressful too. And Deb, I hope the car's doing okay. From the other day, Steve said everything was kind of moving in the right direction, so I hope that's the case. Uh, and I'm glad to be back. It's been a week or two since I've been here, and we have had an awful lot of crazy going on over here with family and stuff. And I appreciate folks that have reached out. It means an awful lot because it seems like I would get a text or a voicemail or something kind of right when I was in just the cruddiest of moods, or just things weren't falling into place right. And so I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It means a lot. And with that being said, I have thought an awful lot this week about the importance of two things. And the first I'll get to because we're already sort of there, and that is the importance of having people around you. Um, and a lot of you guys that know me pretty well know that I am try to be very honest about the struggle that I have with allowing people to get close. The sort of the joke at our recovery group is I don't like people. And there's a lot of truth to that. It's not that I don't like folks, I just don't like people getting too close. And I try very hard to not wall people off. And I have seen the benefits this week specifically. And this isn't the only time. Heck, it's been tons of times in the past few years. But when folks reach out, when I've needed it very much, I wouldn't have maybe admitted I needed it. And I certainly wouldn't have asked somebody to reach out, but they did. And the only reason that's happened is because I've allowed people to get close to me, and I have made myself, um, become part of a community. And I tell you what, it was very difficult at the beginning, but it has paid off and far more than I could have ever imagined. And it truly reminded me this week of how important it is and how the fact that we are made to be in community and communion with folks. Sometimes that community word and communion, those two words kind of get lots of different meanings, but we're supposed to commune together, be a part of each other's lives. We're supposed to share life together and carry each other's burdens. And it makes life so much easier. I think there's so much truth in that, and I encourage each one of you guys that if you haven't reached out and connected with people, what are you waiting on? What's holding you back? Because it is so. It's just it's like nourishment for your soul in a way. I this morning my head was just all over the place with concerns and worries with everything that's going on, and how am I going to be in these 17 different places that I need to be today, and how am I going to do this, that, and my mind's racing, and all I'm doing is beating myself down, and my phone buzzed, and it was a buddy of mine that just said, "Hey, man, I'm thinking of you, praying for you." And he went on to say a few other encouraging things that just really spoke to me in that just that mental moment that I was having. And I don't think sometimes we don't put enough value on little things like that, and how important those things are, and how many times, like just today, that I've thought about that text and that guy, and how I'm so thankful to be connected with him. And it just means a lot. And it's not a guy that I normally text with. It's not a regular, it's not one of those guys that I expect a text from early, in the morning, or, there's a few people that I interact with pretty often, and I can almost tell you when the phone buzzes at a certain time, it's probably, and fill in the blank, it's either Eric or Steve, or maybe Gene, or maybe Shane. And I know it's going to be those guys. But so it's even, I love hearing from those guys, but it even packs even more of a punch when it's somebody you don't always interact with, but when you see them, you hug them, and you cut up, and you enjoy being with them. So, hey, I'm just going to encourage you on two things tonight. And that's one, connect with folk. If you're not, like I said, what are you waiting on? And kind of what I look back on in my life and see is when I decided I was going to be a friend that I would want to have, something happened. All of a sudden, people just started popping up in my life, and it wasn't until I decided I was going to do that. Now, I thought about and wished I had buddies and connections, but when I'm just sitting on the couch, or not putting any effort in, it's kind of hard. So you got to be willing to put yourself out there. So do it. It's worth it. The other thing that is probably even more so been swirling around in my mind is because I've been doing it so often this week, and that is talking to God. It seems like it's different sometimes when there's a lot of emotion, and a lot of hurts stirred up, and a lot of unknowns that are swirling around. We either tend to just sort of fuss at God, or we back away. We kind of struggle there. And I've found a number of times this week, sitting in a hospital waiting room, or sitting on one of those godforsaken uncomfortable chairs in an ER, or trying to sleep on this couch that's made, I know I'm not supposed to say it, but made for midgets, and midgets that only weigh about 25 pounds, I think, are about this wide. I don't even know who they're making those things for, but it's kind of in that uncomfortableness that I've just had this kind of ongoing dialogue with God, and I've found so much comfort in it, and I wouldn't say I've necessarily had a whole lot of answers, and that's one thing that I kind of have been wrestling through, is kind of wondering why, when you pray for something, you don't see an immediate answer. Or maybe better said, why when I pray for something, I don't see the immediate answer. But then again, there's been so many small things that have fallen into place with, from Monday or Sunday afternoon into Monday. And as the week has progressed, and all these things have kind of come into play, I look back, and if I'm kind of thinking about it, I see God's hand in orchestrating a lot of things, not a miraculous instant thing, but sorting out so many things that kind of came into play. And then when you look at all the little pieces, it's much grander, and then maybe you initially sense or recognize when it's happening. And so I just want to kind of encourage folks to not get upset with God when you don't see the miraculous in the moment. Because I think that does happen, yes. And, I'm sure there's people that are listening now that could say, hey, I prayed about this thing and it happened instantly. And I think I've probably been a part of a couple of those maybe, or witnessed a couple of those maybe over my lifetime. But by and large, most of the time, where I see God show up the most and the most miraculous is in a series of little things and an sort of this orchestration of events to get to a result that might not look the way I had envisioned, but might far exceed what I thought might be possible. And the other piece that I've been thinking about regards to prayer is, instead of what I always catch myself doing is, God, hey, fix this, solve this problem, do something miraculous right now, because I feel like I need it or want it, or it needs to, it's just got to go this way. And what I found kind of gradually through this week is, this is kind of another area I would challenge you to think about, is instead of always praying for the miraculous, which we are supposed to do that. And there's, and I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying do that and also ask God to help you in the process, give you strength to continue in the process, give you wisdom and insight to navigate through the process. Ask God to bring people along in the struggle with you to help and assist and be willing to allow them to jump in there. That right there was one of the things that, I try to do everything. And I realized in a great way, just this last few days, if I'm willing to let somebody step in and do something that I don't have to do to fill a gap, well, that takes a load off of me. And then that in turn helps me, and it frees me up. It takes a burden away. So now I'm back to where we started. If we need people around us that we love and we trust, and we need to pray, and we need to allow people to be in the process with us, and asking God to guide that process and allow Him to do all the little things that He is desiring to do. Because so much of the journey is about growth for us. It's about how much more like Christ are we becoming. And the only way that happens is by talking with God, sharing with God, being honest with God, which that sometimes for us, those things add a different angle to prayer. Often we think we only pray at church or before a meal or maybe at bedtime, and there's formality and habit to it, and all those things are wonderful and important. But the ongoing dialogue of honesty and emotion, I think, is where there's tremendous revelation and healing. And it's not until we're in that and we're churning through it that God can really open our eyes and our hearts to things. And those prayers look an awful lot more like, instead of God fix this, it's God help me navigate this. God open my eyes to see more clearly, put people around me that will help me, that will give wise counsel, that will help carry the burden that I'm carrying. So the two are so intertwined for me here lately, and I can't see separating the importance of talking to God and being involved in His body, if you will, as Paul talks about it, the body of Christ, the all of us together, with a common goal of pursuing Him and focusing more on that commonality and that purpose than the things maybe we don't see eye to eye on. And I just want to encourage you guys, because I know life sucks a lot of times. And if it isn't right now, it probably will a little while later in your life. And there's so much monotony and noise that we so often miss what's happening, the greatness of what God is doing. And I'm so guilty of that. I get so bogged down in the stuff right in front of me and the what ifs, and I got to go do's and all that. And I miss what's happening. I miss the interruptions from a friend that just wants to pour into me, or an opportunity for me to help someone else and allow God to speak into that situation. So don't do it. Catch yourself. Allow God to stir you to be more focused upon Him, and ask for wisdom and guidance and clarity. Reach out to people. Allow them to get close to you. And I think we'll see a whole lot of encouragement when we do that. So guys, I appreciate the prayers. I just ask you to continue to pray. We're kind of through the low point and kind of coming up now with my sister. But I think it might be an ongoing sort of battle here for the next few weeks to get her sort of back to where she was after everything that's happened. So just continue to pray. I'm going to be praying for y'all. If you need something, let me know. And I hope I can see a whole bunch of you tomorrow in Buchanan at One Church, at One Church Recovery, OCR as I like to call it, because that sounds really cool. And have a great week, and I'll talk to you later. Love you, folks. Bye-bye.